What's good, everyone? It's your boy Sifu G, the Esoteric Warrior. Hope everyone's doing good. This is a part 2 from yesterday's UFC sparring and the hammer fist. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I don't know it all, right? I'm just giving my advice on what I can see that could be utilized, especially from the haka arts of Kung Fu. The hammer, they use calf kicks against kickers that they know they're powerful kickers, so they try and take out their legs, right? Smart. But they're not doing it with their hands. Not very smart. So if you know someone's a good striker, right, and a good boxer, it's going to be very hard for someone that's lesser skill to hit the body and hit the head. The closest thing to me is the person's bridge, right? And if they do cover, you smash with that hammer fist and you're going to destroy their arms. Even downward hammer fist, they're covering like this a lot, but they're not getting hit on an angle coming down, and that can flow straight over the top from a jab cross. If they're smart, you can utilize a lot of this. And another good thing with the hammer fist, I stand orthodox, right? So left foot forwards when I start fighting. Like if I was in a competition, I'm usually right side forward, especially kickboxing and stuff like that. But when the hammer fist are employed, then it switches sides. So usually Bap Mei and Lung Ying and all that, they specialize on the right hand side because the heart is further away from the target, your heart, so against a knife, right? So they want to keep their body, so they stand right side forward rather than left. Right side is their power side for the hammer fist, obviously, but you learn both sides, try and equal up the power on both hands and techniques. Of course, there's going to be a weaker side on the hammer fist, like in everything you do. There's always a weaker side, but by practicing and conditioning, you wouldn't be doing hammer fist striking in competition if you haven't developed the iron bridge training, right? So there's just like Thai boxing with conditioning on the shins, there's conditioning on the arms, and it's in the Bap Mei book. I've got a lot of it there. Make sure you get it. It's on Lulu. It's an encyclopedia. You should have that always. But depending on what you are, some people are just not fighters, you know. Kung Fu has all the forms, and the bad rep that Kung Fu's got over the last 10, 20 years, and just lately the last 5 years in China, exposing all these so-called grandmasters trying to think delusional, trying to hop in the ring and fight, and as you see, they just get knocked out. Their footwork's, there's no footwork, no head movement, nothing, and that's your ABCs in any combat. So forms won't help you fight unless your mindset and you're making it work and you're training to fight, right? So there's differences in the martial art, you know, one's an art and the other's a martial. So if you're an artist, then you're just forms. And in this style, when I talk about hammer fist, people, I'm not talking about hammer, I'm talking about, right? So in the Haka Kung Fu way, anything to do with the legs of your opponent, from below the waist, you're looking after your counter kicking, sweeping, and checking if you have to, knees and whatnot, and the hands will look after the other person's bridge as well. So my left on his right, my right on his left, right leg, his left foot, my left leg, his right. So That's why a lot of them stand front on, because they got all guns to blaze. Right, as soon as you start turning your body shape too much, you're limited. There's only certain techniques, and if you turn to a bin shape, which is oval, then you've got your hammer fist perfect for that. It needs to be explained and shown with a partner, of course. I haven't got one right now, but you can only be a good fighter by training how to fight, and the forms are beautiful, of course, and they give you a lot of techniques, but you got to strip that back if you're a fighter and work on the techniques and the strikes that work efficiently and fluent and smoothly for you, uncomplicated type moves. So the forms give you a whole series of basic self-defense to fisticuffs, right? So from grabs, there's certain things that you do, and wrist locks. There's a whole Kung Fu is built on not just sport competition, right? That's a war art originally. Unfortunately, it's not taught as that these days. A lot of styles do, don't get me wrong, but in China, I don't know what the hell's happening there. They're getting smashed. Ironic, isn't it? But I think a new type of fighting style, and I created one called the Haka Black Tortoise, and it's a hammer fist, elbow, knee, and fist style, and there's two parts, and then there's a palm style to it with claws and other things, and it works off basic self-defense to if you want to go into the ring. So it's street effective and can be trained into the ring. That's how I've designed it. So yes, I believe these arts have what UFC need, and that's a basic bridge destruction and shutting down your opponent's strikes, right? Rather than they're standing there and shaping up. I'm smaller, he's longer, he's got the longer reach. I'm gonna have to find my range, and I'm slipping punches, I'm parrying, but I can't get in, I can't get the punches to land. And then you're getting picked apart with leg kicks or taken down. You get back up and you're getting smashed. And you could have stopped all that with some simple limb destruction techniques. Iron Snake has a fantastic level 5, and it uses a pentagram strike with its against a check left hook. So it rebounds and continues the flow. It's all depends on how you see fighting, but definitely you can smash a bridge. And Daniel, I think we spoke a long time ago, right? I think you live in Thailand or something. You moved. We used to speak a lot. I hope you're doing well, brother. And thanks for the comments, by the way. And thank you everyone for the comments and the love and all that. So the 1 unit would start, and I've adopted this for all esoteric warrior arts as a base, right? So you get a newbie in, doesn't know how to fight or anything, right? So the way it was taught is head movement and learning to read the punches. So your partner is at arm's length, touch you, I can touch him, and you put your hands behind your back, and just slowly you start to get him to jab, right? And you can slip, right? You can slip it, you can bob and weave, and when it's going to the body, of course, you start to learn how to wear the impact and turn it. there's many methods. You're going to get hit, but the whole idea is to accept those strikes, because it gets people from, okay, it wasn't super hard, right? You're not trying to knock him out or you're not going fast at all. It's a newbie, right? It's a newbie, and so they have to understand just a head and body defense without footwork first, right? So they just understand how to read a punch and then where they need to be without the hands, of course, right? And then moving around, so my hands might be, sometimes I just used to have them down, but behind the back or down, as long as you've not got them up, right? And so I'd be moving around, and you're not allowed just to keep moving away. You got to, at least, if you get hit, you get hit, right? But the more you get hit, it's just like getting tapped in BJJ, you learn, right? So a good slip will just graze past. A good dip, or when you bob, once that get really close, right? You don't want too much gap, because from there you got elbows and hammer fist again. So learning how to slip punches, read them, and then moving around, doing rounds, and learning how to use your body to even fake them out to get them to throw punches, and then you can sidestep and move around. And then one-handed versus two-handed, and the person doing one-handed will be just doing defense, learning how to move, grab, right, parry, fan, right? So one hand, so you get good at learning one hand, lead hand first, and then rear hand, right? So you get really good skills of just one hand, and you can punch back, of course, right? So you can hit and parry and do all that, and learn how to be in the right position because you haven't got your other hand. And then the rear hand, like I said, and that gets them prepared to learn how to move and read strikes. Otherwise it's like, oh, here's your first lesson, chuck the gloves on, and it's really bad sparring. And with all of this, you never, when you're doing hammer fist, you're not hammer fisting, and you're not trying to block kicks with your palms. That's a no-no, right? So the hands look after the hands, the legs look after legs. If the kick does come up high and you're able to catch it, sometimes you can catch a kick. Once it hits, you can ride a kick, learn how to buff it and then grab. There's so many different ways to defend against kicks. Front line kicks, you can circle it off with a parry, but never straight on doing this type of stuff, because a real kick is going to break your arms every time, and you leave your head way open. So legs look after legs, hands look after hands in these type of arts. Footwork should get you straight into range. So again, stances, footwork is so important. Other than that, hammer fist should be used and employed, because there's always a time and place that can be used. You've got time to parry, you've got time to smash, and that all comes with doing drills and stuff like that. You look at boxing, they'll learn how to, the jab comes and they'll parry, boom, and just slip the punch, parry, and they'll practice that until they get good and be able to read that during sparring. Same thing, there's no difference. It's just that boxing does more of the good stuff that Kung Fu should have been doing for a long time. It's just that forms are taken over, and you got to look a certain way and do certain things at a certain way as well. And they have to understand that the form is a performance, and as well gives you some good health and some techniques, but you don't fight like the form. because fighting is messy, man. It's ugly and it's messy, and you haven't got, if you got time and you can read the punch and it's starting to swing, you got time to take that arm out. And like I said, most people are expecting you to try and punch the face and body, right? But as soon as they throw their jab and you go smash and just go bang bang right through it, they're walking straight into the next hammer fist. So time and place to employ hammer fist. Doing it wrong the hammer fist can be your best weapon or your worst enemy, right? So it all depends on how good you are and how much you train. Otherwise the forms are not going to help you, right? Forms are not going to help you. Other than that, I hope I've answered everyone's questions. It's my way of doing things, and I think the UFC needs something different. Even a new sport like my black tortoise, it would absolutely rock the world. Alright guys, cheers.